Wow, okay, right. So make sure my camera is rolling first. If not, I don't want to screw this up because I'm still a super novice and amateur when it comes to doing all this kind of things.
Video stuff.
Trust me, anything video stuff or content creation, many times I screw it up. This is not my area, man. Yeah. I mean, it's something that was born out of this whole pandemic lah. It's like, okay, got free time, let's start doing some YouTube content.
Which is good.
Yeah. Right. So don't go too far away from the mic. You can pull it closer to you if you want to. Yeah.
Okay. So like this. All right.
Yeah. So you got your nice radio announcer.
Gain. Nice gain.
Good signal to noise ratio.
Signal to noise ratio.
Yeah. These are all the nerd.
These are all the nerd.
Yeah, nerdy stuff which everyone who actually listens to this, which are like probably 3 or 4 of you out there who actually watch this, will get lah. Yeah. Man, where do I start, man?
Where shall we start?
Yeah. First of all, I guess, thank you so much, right, for doing this. It's an honor, I must say.
My pleasure.
It's an honor. It's my pleasure, to have you here, to be sitting across this table from you.
Yeah.
Not only talk about, being isolated due to pandemic, but being literally isolated after so many years. You mentioned that you were last here in Malaysia in 2013, right? Just now?
Yeah.
That's almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. And for those who didn't know, right, we used to be, studio neighbors here.
Neighbors.
Just down the road. Yeah.
Neighbors. So we have to start from the beginning then.
Yeah, we're going to go back.
The beginning, you move in here. We move in here on the same time, right?
Really? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I really think so. I still remember it was Kat. It was Kat Faris from Ravage.
Yes.
And then he told me like, oh, our friend from Pop Shavit, they just started a studio. So we were supposed to do something together. I think
we were working on the Ravage album,
right? Yeah. We wanted to do Ravage album.
So
So I ended up do the production in your neighbors.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The Street Excellence
Studios.
Yeah,
Excellent Studio.
So I moved there in 2005. Then we become neighbors since.
Correct. Yeah. So back then I remember Sham.
Yes. It was Sham's studio.
I have no idea. After he went to Vietnam for his job there, I have no idea. I've not heard from him since then, man.
Yeah.
But he was such a nice, cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, there's so many things, man.
Things, and because of that studio, that's how I met No.
Yes, correct.
And that is so No was my office boy.
Yeah, that's correct. I remember, he used to like even stay there and sleep over.
And the reason why he stayed over, so this is the funny story. I thought when he stayed over, he was being, I want to clean up the studio and things like that. And then only after a few weeks or something like that, I came in the morning and then I realized that, actually he hasn't been cleaning up the studio. He's been doing his own recording in the studio. So I came in the morning and the computer is still on and he was sleeping on the desk. What is this boy doing, right? And I press play and it's like, he has been doing some recording. So there was Hujan early stuff.
That was the genesis, the early stuff.
That's how it all started.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very, very privileged and lucky also. I think No was also shared to.
Yeah.
I think he shared to Uno first.
Yeah.
And then Uno also shared with me and where the rest of us. And when we heard one of those early demos, we were like, amazingly, we were blown away.
Yeah. I was blown away.
We were blown away by, first of all, obviously the writing, right? From a producer engineer perspective, the sound, it was like obviously a lot of the 2000 sound, with the very alternative rock sound was going for that, very highly produced, very polished production kind of sound. this was like raw, man.
Raw.
It was raw energy. Vocals were distorted, and
The distortion, the vocal distortion, it was his idea.
yeah,
He's the one who makes his own vocals because in the first EP, I did most of the mixing and mastering myself.
yeah.
Except one song, Pagi Yang Gelap. You did it.
Hey, thank you very much.
I think I forgot who you came to us and then said, you want to mix the song, or we came to I forgot that
I
part.
really can't remember.
I can't remember,
exactly,
but for
you
the
know.
fact that we know that is going to be our first single ever.
Yeah.
So we said, I told Noah, I said, I don't want to mix it. Let's get somebody, then we choose you to mix. And that our first single ever was mixed by you. Thank you very much, JD.
No, I mean, I have to say thank you because that's an honor, man.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, that's an honor to have heard the song in its raw stages and to try. All I did was just kind of just polish up whatever was there. In fact, my danger was that I was going to make it sound too good and too
polish.
nice.
Too nice.
That was, I was very afraid of doing that, and then then after that I would be totally ruined the whole thing. But I'm happy that the song became such a big hit.
Yeah, that's how we started.
That's how we started, and here you are today. After
17 years.
This is 17 years, right?
17 years.
Yeah. I would say arguably, right, the most influential band, right, of our generation lah. Right. I always like to think about the indie in different generations. I would say the first generation would be Butterfingers, OAG, that first generation. But you guys, Hujan, definitely, okay?
Well, of course, we didn't expect it back then, right? Nobody expect, even myself. Even myself, I produced the band. I started the band. I managed the band.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it's gonna be like this. So I'm glad that at least for me, the way I see it is we inspired like a generation of artists who really like, you can actually do it your way and you can still be something. You can still cross over the mainstream. You can get your music heard by a lot of people. So you don't have to follow like certain rules.
Trend,
which back then, most of the mainstream, it was still TVs and radios are still dominated by Indonesian music and the major label. I think back then.
Correct. Yeah, obviously, right. Indonesian music is a huge influence on Malaysian music. Yeah, so I think a lot of bands were trying to, it's either if you're not pop, right, or the pop, pop Malay kind of a thing, right, or you were gonna copy bands like Sheila on 7, like Dewa. But I guess that's how Malaysian Indonesian music is always, and audiences are always gonna be intertwined in this way lah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural, right?
Yeah, we are neighbors.
Yeah, we are neighbors, man. Yeah, in more sense than one.
Good.
I mean, I can't express how I feel right now. I'm so happy to see you, man.
Happy to see you too.
I'm happy to see everyone in the band is doing well. Obviously, Noah, AG, the rest, and who's going to be playing for this lineup? Is it all the full?
Yeah.
So Am is playing drums.
Yes, I'm
that
playing.
Is cool.
So original.
The full. But who's playing bass?
Izzat.
Izzat, yeah. Because actually, if you talk about the previous bassist, Jaja.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jaja. I'm not also a long time haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
Jaja was there, so
yeah.
So that's awesome, man. But unfortunately, by the time this comes out, the concert will already be over.
Yeah.
Okay, I know it's because it's this Friday.
Yeah.
Right. Which if we date it, that will be November 6th, right?
Yeah.
Hey, November 5th. Friday, kan?
Yes.
Which is
Saturday.
Saturday
night.
Math is totally wrong. 5th or 6th? Okay, never mind.
5th.
Yeah. Nobody's watching this gonna bother too much about the dates. But I know it's Saturday lah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be epic. That's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be fun.
And so maybe we can start. I'm so excited that we didn't even do a proper introduction of who you are. So maybe for those who don't know who Dimas is, shame on you. You should know who he is, man. Right? Maybe you can just do a little brief introduction on who you are, what do you do, right? And then maybe talk a little bit of your background, kind of growing up, how your education wise brought you, and then how did you get into music, man?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always has been into music since my school days. And then I studied in Singapore. Actually, my major was IT and communication. So, and then, but I took SAE part time. So I had two college, my IT college and SAE in the evening. I didn't graduate from SAE, but I learned my basic from SAE Singapore back then. I always wanted to be a music producer. Until I met the gang, which is the Rafich gang and Uno. So what happened was Rafich and Uno had a show in Singapore. They stayed at my place, in my apartment. Uno will be laughing when he heard about this, you know.
Shout out to Una.
Shout out to Uno. And then so I met Uno and Kat and the rest of the Rafich guys. Until one day, Kat offered me, "Hey Dimas, do you want to move to KL to become a full-time music producer?" I said yes. So I moved. I had a job at Singtel Mobile in
Wow.
corporate work as a product development, which is it was a nice job.
Yeah.
It was a good company, but I always been to music and I had offer. Oh, I will handle my own studio, and then we wanted to do the Tipa Tertipu movie. So I'll be doing music scoring. That's interesting. I always wanted to do that. So I moved to KL and become neighbors.
Yep.
That's how it started.
That was that's in 2005.
That was 2005.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I moved
Right.
to KL from Singapore. And then I've been doing a lot of film and TV production for Ahmad Idham,
Yes.
Excellent Pictures. And then I hired Noh to be my studio assistant. We started a band. Then we realized that, okay, we're going to quit this job and then doing Hujan full time.
And then the band took over lah.
And then
Yeah.
the band took over. I managed the band since day one.
Yep.
And then, actually, I have a story to tell.
Oh, okay. Please.
This is very
Yeah.
interesting. It's about Uno. I hope Uno is listening to this.
Yeah.
So the story is, I went back to Indonesia in 2007. And then the band started to gig around, right? So I already left the band actually back then. Until one day I came back to KL and then we are looking for a manager for Hujan, right? So because at that time I already left Hujan, I wanted to move back to Bandung, to Indonesia. So I had a teh tarik session with Uno, right? So and then I asked Uno, who do you think will be a good manager for Hujan? And he said, "You lah. Who else? Who else can deal with no at that time? Who else can deal with no and then still be able to do whatever that you need to do?" They got me things like, you know what? I think you're right. So maybe I should come back to KL and manage Hujan. So thanks to Uno, I came back to KL and become Hujan's manager.
Right. Yeah.
That's a funny story.
Fun fact. We actually have a new Pop Shop. It's got a new single that actually
Wow.
recorded vocals on.
Yeah.
I think we're going to put it out. It should be out, I think, in a week or two.
That's
They put it out on
nice.
streaming lah.
That's good. That's good.
We've kept it very quiet. Obviously for timing reasons lah. But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress, man. Yeah. We should hear no side of the story next time when I get him
Yes,
in.
you should get him in this.
One of these days. Yeah. I mean, but it's such an amazing and a fascinating story, Obviously, I said already earlier, Hujan had such a great influence on everybody. You guys have, the music, not only because it sounded so fresh, it sounded so different, but I think it resonated with a lot of the youths who were listening back then. I don't know, maybe it's also that time where the indie scene was really, really starting to boom and starting to grow. Because during that same time, it was bands like Bang Face, which I had a pleasure to work with as well. Bang Face was
Meet
also
Uncle Hussein.
Meet Uncle Hussein, Bittersweet,
Bittersweet,
all these are what we call, the peers lah, right? Around this time. And Man, that was wild. That was
That was
crazy.
fun.
Yeah.
Good old days.
But thankfully, at least here in Malaysia, right,
Mhm.
I saw that picking back up because
Good.
for a long period of time,
Mhm.
it was dominated again, right, by pop and then more rock kapak style bands, right, in Malaysia.
Mhm.
Then only in 2016, 17, 18, I started seeing this wave coming
Oh.
back up again.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And there were so many new bands.
Mhm.
And in fact, now, so many bands in Malaysia.
Good one, right? You're talking about
And a
good
lot of
bands.
them, and a lot of them are very good. I have to, maybe it's not the right place to say this, like, but it's always a ratio. I always believe there's a proportion. And this is from my observation from even traveling to different countries and even overseas lah. Even if you go to US, right? It's always a certain percentage, right? There'll be a percentage of awesome bands. There's also the certain percentage of the not so awesome crap bands. Also got, okay. So it's a function of the size lah. But there's so many bands now,
Yeah.
and a lot of them, look up to you guys. Honestly, there is one band, right, which I've recorded, right? Their first single also. When they came out, people thought this was No. Because he sounds exactly like him, right? The band's name is Loco lah, right? Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of the band, but I never really listened to them.
Yeah.
I will have to listen.
Very young band.
Okay.
Very energetic band as well.
That's good.
Really, really good band. But when it first came out, right, the people knew lah, that definitely Hujan was an influence on them lah. So they're doing really well. They're really well. I think they've got their second album out or something like that. Shout out to Loco, right? These guys as well. I also know these guys.
Job.
Yeah. But there you go, you see? Yeah. You guys have influenced, so
glad.
many.
I'm glad it's a good influence.
Yeah, it is.
Not the bad one.
I know, yeah. Well, let's not go into that lah, because obviously with any sort of success, there's always going to be
challenges.
Just challenges, media. They're always trying to look for whatever the latest, issue or scandal, scandal, aku scandal, so or whatever thing to try and to hype up to sell their articles lah.
True.
Yeah, but how was your reaction to the response lah? That Pagi Yang Gelap and the first album, right? How was your reaction to it? How did you feel?
Of course, we didn't expect. That's number one. But number two is like, we just do whatever we can. Back then, because it was our passion. So for us, it's all about work actually, right? We don't care about, we want to be famous or we want to be known or things like that. So back then, it was just, we like what we do. We just do it. And we just glad that people can accept the songs and the albums, and many years from even until today, I'm really fortunate also that people are still listening to Hujan's album. So we are kind of blessed in that way.
yeah. I mean, I touched a little bit lah, on, obviously there are some challenges as always, but does it affect you in any way?
Of course, especially no, because the limelight is always on him as a frontman. But that is actually part of, we all know, I mean, if we go, like I said, we didn't expect to be mainstream and we didn't expect to be well known, right? But we already know if we reach that stage, it comes with the challenge.
Yeah.
So we know, but even though we know, it's still hard. But it's just a phase that we have to go through.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's a important lesson as well, because not everyone can manage like success and fame in the same way. But for yourself, right, you are still the same cool, humble Dimas that I know, man. Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah. Let's not talk so much about that. Let's talk about one of the things that there's actually not a lot of people know is that you actually played a very, very big influential role in helping to form and set up the copyright music publishing system in Indonesia.
Yeah.
I cover a lot of things related to music business as well.
okay.
I think it's important for people to know about music business. Maybe you want to share a little bit your story of how you're,
Sure. So that is actually the reason why I left Hujan in around 2000. I think it's about 2012, 2013. It was I was still back and forth KL in Jakarta. I was still performing in Hujan, but I already started my project in Jakarta. And then until I realized that this is something big, the project that I did back then, because I got involved into changing the draft of the copyright law. So it was huge.
It's huge.
Draft of copyright law, Indonesian copyright law. Yeah. So I was part of the team who, a small group of people who, how do you say it, formulate the copyright law for Indonesia. So I did that in 2012 until the law actually enacted in 2014, and we are still using that copyright law until today.
Yeah.
So what the copyright law said is it's mostly about performing rights, which is for Indonesia, it's something that it's not clear back then. So we do have a performing rights organization, like maybe here you have MACP, right? Over there we have two, WAMI and KCI. And then, but the law wasn't very clear. So what we wanted to do back then is we wanted to create a law to enable this performing rights organization to be able to collect on behalf of the composers. And then, of course, we wanted to do it fairly, Back then, the idea, which is where I came to the pictures, is to do it transparently with digital, right? So, audio fingerprint kind of thing. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I'm an idiot when it comes to those kind of things. But
so basically, we wanted to instead of paying performing rights in bulk, the idea back then is to have a digital system where you can monitor broadcast TV, broadcast radio, karaoke house, and even cafes that are doing a music performance with some sort of detection to detect what is actually the song that is being played on those venues. So when we collect the performing rights, it will be for those the song that's being played. So instead of just a bulk system and then goes by market share, things like that, we still happening today, even Malaysia and Indonesia.
Correct.
So that was the idea that we put in the law. But unfortunately, even until today, they are still having hard time to implement it.
Right. Okay.
So that is the reason. So that's why I left Malaysia. I left KL. I left Hujan to do that project in Indonesia, because I thought it was something important for a lot of people. And then, but unfortunately, my project didn't work out because a lot of challenges from the enforcement and everything like that. So so from there, I do few other things in Indonesia.
Maybe you can give a little bit of background. What was like the performing rights and the whole mechanism like before this in Indonesia? Because some people might not know. What were the problems and what really prompted you and this whole team of a whole think tank of people to come and follow this.
So the mechanism of performing rights before digital era, they go by bulk system, right? So for example, if you're a karaoke house, or even if you're a restaurant, the restaurant will pay performing rights usually based on the how many seats the restaurant have, or the area of the certain place of this what their serving area, things like that. So we wanted to change. We want to shift into digital, which is right now. I can tell you right now, even we are still struggling with all the DSPs, like even the big one, YouTube, Spotify, because it involves a lot of big data of usage. So can you imagine how company like TikToks and how company like Instagram, they supposed to trace every single usage of music
Yeah.
on their platform. Can you imagine how big the data is, right?
It is unimaginable. The
Unimaginable.
scale is, yeah.
One song could have like, I don't know, like 5 composers from 3 publishing companies, right? And then the metadata of one song itself is already big times the usage, right? So this is what I've been trying to do is on how we shift that from the analog bulk system to digital.
Yep.
But the problem is we don't have the valid data.
Right.
Right. So because you need to have all those datas to be submitted to the DSPs, like Facebook, TikTok, and things like that. And then after that, you have to screen back the usage data. You have to cross-reference and things like that. But in the end, what we wanted to do, I'm sure it's everyone is the same. Malaysia and Indonesia is the same. In the end, we want to do what's best for the composers and for the musicians that involved in it. Because actually there are, I'm not sure if we have covered this, there are 2 types of, what do you call it? I can say 2 types of royalty, right? One is for the composers, which is usually represented by a publishing company. And one is for the master recording.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Master
Yep.
recording
Correct.
is represented by
The
record label.
Record label.
So what people are not aware is these 2 are actually 2 separate
Different things, yeah.
different things. Because in the copyright law, we mentioned the composer has the copyright, while the labels and the performers, I don't know what terms they use. Some call it related rights, some call it neighboring rights.
Yeah.
Right? So these 2, actually, when you look at the legal terms, are 2 different legal products.
Correct. Yep.
2 different legal products. So sometimes musicians they have to separate themselves. Are you a composer or are you a performer?
Yeah.
because legally it's 2 different entity.
Yes.
Right. So this is also a lot of people are not aware. Sometimes when they do contract, so actually they're just being lazy. Let's just put one contract for publishing and master recording usage in one contract.
Right.
So I can tell you right now, legally it's not right because it's 2 different products altogether. It's 2 different types. One is copyright, one is related rights.
Yeah. So it cannot be, you cannot just have one single blanket agreement to cover 2 things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because both of them will have different terms, different periods, different. Yeah. It's just 2 different things.
It's 2 different things. It's 2 different creature. So it's really complicated when it comes to how do we trace the master usage. Of course, master usage usually will go to the record label, and then the record label will share it to the artist, right? But when it comes to publishing side, it can be more complicated because one song could have few composers, and those composers will have a few publishers, and they have to separate,
They have to, what's their split?
Based on the split sheet and then things like that. So it's really tricky if the industry still use the bulk system. So it has to go like digital database. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, because I think in the past you're right. Even I think now they're starting to transition to digital
I heard,
here. But with a bulk thing, you just pay one single license fee. The licensee pays a single license fee.
Yeah.
But there's no transparency to to how, because they have the market share thing like you mentioned, right? So they assume they just make an assumption that the major
the
labels
popular
are going to get
songs
X amount of percentage and but it does not necessarily reflect what reality is
Yes.
So it will always that system always favors the big players
the big players.
and those that are losing out are going to be all the the smaller, the
smaller
independents. Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's always going to be a
It's a challenge, both side, Malaysia and Indonesia. But I'm sure like we are of course going towards something better.
yeah.
So let's just hope one day the system will be like fully implemented. Because my idea, I mean not my idea, like the vision of people in the industry, me and my friends, like what we want to do is make it a fair system
Mm.
so that when we could have those transparency, that means like anyone could be, could enter the market,
Mhm.
right? Of course, right now with social media, it's even more open. But when you think about the royalty side of it,
Mm.
the mechanical royalty. I mean, I think it's a bit too technical. We talk about the
Yeah.
mechanical
Oh no,
royalty.
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so mechanical royalty is the royalty
Mm.
that the composers get from Spotify and YouTube.
Mhm.
So they actually allocate mechanical royalty to be paid to the composers
Yep.
through the publishers. So this is a lot of things that people don't get sometimes. That already got my royalty from I don't know, from CD Baby or from TuneCore, things like that. But you have to check, have you collected your publishing royalty or not?
Yeah.
Because if not, then Spotify and YouTube still keep your royalty.
Your share. Yeah.
So that is mechanical royalty in the digital. So we are hoping that one day this mechanical royalty will grow. In the US, they already implement that with the law called, what was it called? MLC or something like that. So they favor the composers to get more share from the digital platform. So this is the trend that we are going, that we hope to go, where the composers also will have bigger royalty
Yeah.
from the digital platform. Because the hope is the more royalty the composer get, the more productive they are, and then they can produce more good music. In the end, it's all about that.
Absolutely, man.
Right?
I think it's copyright is also a very, very fascinating subject for me.
Yeah.
And if you kind of go back to the origins of copyright, the spirit of copyright is to nurture and to encourage the creation.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, reward, you don't incentivize the creation of any sort of music or any sort of work, like be it music, art, literature, film, or anything, then people are not going to be incentivized to create.
So it's a bit trivia.
Yeah.
Do you know why they call it mechanical rights?
Because it used to be from the player piano roll thing, right? That's right.
Not much people know that, so it's a good trivia for you. So back then, we used the piano roll.
The piano roll.
Not a piano roll in your DAW. It's literally a roll on a piano.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to get the piano roll, you have to pay for it. Yeah, if you wanted to have a player piano in your bar or your saloon in the Wild Wild West back in the States.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah, so you have to pay the royalty for that song or piece of the song, and that's the mechanical royalty.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, music students should read
Music
this up.
nerds.
Yeah, should
know
read this up. Yeah. Wow. But I mean, that is, this is definitely something that's you mentioned that it's an ongoing challenge.
Ongoing challenge.
The law itself is already been passed, right?
Yeah.
But it's the implementation
Yes.
that and the execution of implementing all these systems, that's the one that takes time lah.
Yeah. Still a challenge in Indonesia.
Yeah. But that is awesome. I think that was because we still keep in touch. I mean, I still follow you on Facebook, and then I always see that you will post about these issues and these topics, and I see they were so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because this affects the livelihoods of so many composers and songwriters.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I was stuck in that department. So I have left the project. So now I'm back in a normal record label. So I'm back. I was in the, what do you call it, in the association, things like that. And then it got too political for me. So now I prefer to be back in the record label and just develop new artists.
Yeah. But at least you were part of the pioneers
Yeah,
that
I was
got
part
the
of the
wheel,
team.
that got the whole wheel turning, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's great lah.
Yeah.
That's a very big
And
thing for Indonesian.
And the reason
yeah.
why they called me is because I have been around. I mean, I studied how I know I studied from Malaysia. So I actually learned from MACP. That's how I learned publishing. Because of Hujan, because I managed Hujan, because I managed No back then. So I get to learn about publishing.
Yeah.
I get to learn about performing rights. So because of my time in Malaysia, I learned. So they actually in Indonesia, they wanted to learn because Malaysia has been doing well for performing rights back then,
Yep.
right? Before all the changes,
Yeah, we were. Oh, that's complicated. Yeah,
Yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because Malaysia did well, so Indonesia wanted to learn, and then that's how I got into the pictures. They called me back from Malaysia. Hey, you come back Indonesia and help us to figure out how we do these things.
Comparatively speaking, I think in Southeast Asia, Malaysia was one of the very earliest countries to actually implement the copyright law and have all these the collecting organizations in place lah. I mean, our copyright law dates from 1987. You see, yeah. So, but obviously it's been perfected. It's been improved upon. There's been an amendment to the copyright law. Can't remember when. Quite recent lah.
Quite recent. Yeah, I remember it's quite recent.
And oh boy, and then there's whole other issues of MRM and all that. I actually made videos about that topic before. So yeah. But it's no secret. These are things which are all in in
everyone should
public.
know that there is this problem.
There is this problem. Yeah. So hopefully we all find solutions lah.
Find solution that benefits everyone.
It's all we ask is that it's fair and transparent to everyone and every single party. I think things doesn't always have to be what we call zero-sum game lah. It has to be win-win situation for everyone. It doesn't have to be always seem to always favor one side over the other. That's what makes people feel disenchanted, frustrated, and angry, and then we write more rebellious music like Hujan lah. And then we get angry and then express ourselves that way.
But the lesson is, don't blame other people. Just do whatever you can, and do whatever you can to make things better. Instead of blaming other people, there's no point of that.
Also, that's also not constructive lah.
Not constructive.
Not productive. Also, if you just sit around and complain and also but that's exactly what you did. You took action, man. And I think it's all the better for the Indonesian music industry.
I hope so. It's better than before.
That's great, man. Well, so after that, adventure into national policy. You think of you as a policy maker. So you mentioned now what has transpired between those couple of years. You mentioned back to producing.
Not really producing. So for the past 2 years, I joined this company called 12 Wired, and then we are actually a 360 label. So we develop artists. But of course, my part, I in charge more on the publishing side. We also help other artists to handle their publishing. So we're not just handling our 360 artists, but we also open up to other artists who want to join our publishing services. And then also we have distribution services. But still, the reason why I'm back into a record label, because I see there's a new generation of musician coming up, which is, I feel very excited. Even though I don't understand the music. I think you feel, right? Sometimes you listen to this like, I don't get it, why this song is famous, but good for them. That's how I felt. But it got me curious, and it got me curious that there's this new generation of musicians coming up, and then I feel they're so talented. Now I'm working with like 14 years old songwriters, 18 years old songwriters produce everything by themselves in their bedrooms, you know. So it's like I feel excited again. I suddenly feel like, ooh, feels like, you know, like you said back in the days when I first listened to No's demo, you know.
Yeah.
So this new batch of musicians are exciting. So that's the reason why I'm back at the music industry, and you know, to find talents and then develop the talents. We've hope that okay, in my company, most of my not most all of my most of my artists are English. Most they are English artists, so they sing English song. So of course, the idea is to actually to bring because I think you are aware that starting from 88 Rising, if you notice about 88 Rising, the Asian movement in the US, it actually grows the way I see it.
Yep.
Right? It grows into more Asian country,
Yeah.
Taiwan, Philippines,
Korea, of course,
but
obvious.
Korean, of course, have their
Yeah.
own. But there's new batch of musicians which is not coming from. Of course, Korea has the big one like
Yeah.
YG, things like that, K-pop, things like that. But a new breed, not too mainstream, right? That actually cross over few countries,
Yeah.
right? So that is where my company looking at. So where we are finding a way where we can have cross countries.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, to follow 88 Rising. They did such a good job.
That
doing
is,
that.
I mean, that's fascinating. That's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that most of the artists are primarily actually English, and
Yes.
that's the reason, lah.
Yes, that's
You
the
know,
reason, because
so-
we want to cross over the borders.
Yeah, you want to have an. I always tell people as well that hey, nowadays, right, your market is no longer just your town or your city or your country. It's your audience is worldwide now.
Yes.
You could reach out
Yes.
worldwide.
Yes. So that what makes me feel exciting about music industry
Wow.
again.
Yeah.
After this, I was like, okay, I've been there, done that. I'm kind of bored. So what else should
Yeah.
I do?
It's like okay, yeah, you've done the band thing enough
I've
already.
done the band thing.
The band.
I've done the copyright things. Okay, because after that, I worked in off music for a while. I work in a hospital. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, I think I vaguely remember.
Yeah, so
you.
I work in a hospital, like hospital management, because I was like, at that time I didn't know, it's like, yeah, music industry kind of bored me, So I learned something new. At least I learned something new. But after the pandemic, of course, pandemic changed.
Yeah,
caused
obviously.
a lot of people. Pandemic got me thinking like, okay, I want to go back to music industry. So here I am, still working in the music industry after all this time.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to have to touch on pandemic. I think everyone is sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
But how were you? How did you cope? How did you yourself cope? Or maybe how was the whole Indonesian music industry? How did it cope? How did it fare during the past
Of course,
2
it
years?
affected a lot of people. But I mean, of course, everyone has experienced their different experience, mostly not so pleasant experience with the pandemic. But now that if we are looking back, there are new batch of artists that coming up during the lockdown, things like that. The good thing is the one who are actually has things to say, as in things to write in their songs, and then they have the creative, the passion to write songs. Those are actually the period where they can sit down with themselves, produce good music, write good lyrics, So actually there's that side of pandemics, the way I see it.
Yep.
That people produce more, and then because they are not, well, some of them following the formula.
Yeah.
But I can see some of them like they don't care. They just come up with their own style of music. And then I think that is interesting part from the pandemic. That I'm pretty sure we are going to see a new batch of fresh music coming out from pandemic era.
Yeah. I'm sure, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely exciting times, you know?
Yeah. But of course, there's a downside of it. I think I just shared with you that even though, I mean, I've been around the industry for so long, after the pandemic, a lot of recording studio closed down. They couldn't maintain, you know. When I'm back in Jakarta to the music industry, I actually have to work with like a new batch of producers that I don't know them, like really young producers. And then also with recording studios, you know. So yeah, I guess part of cycle of life, you know. So I can see even though some of the old generation they couldn't sustain because of the cost, the maintenance costs and things like that.
Yep.
There's always the new generation that, you know, takes up.
And I think that's important. Lah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I think we should always,
Mm,
as much as possible, nurture and
Yeah.
and educate
yes.
the
Yes.
next generation. And
Yes. And that's why I think you've been doing a good job with your podcast and everything. I
Oh.
can see that you are trying to do that to influence the new kids,
I mean,
you know, the new
yeah.
generation.
Thanks, man. That's I mean, coming for you, that's very nice. It's something that, you know, was always being taught, you know. And when I was learning under, you know, with Greg Henderson, he used to say that, you know, the more knowledge, right? The more good knowledge gets spread around, the more good work gets done.
Yes.
And
yes.
in the end, it just
Yes.
brightens up. It just, you know, lifts up the whole industry when everyone can, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of just keeping your knowledge to yourself,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, you're just gonna go old and then die and then
Yeah.
keep your knowledge a secret, is it?
Yeah.
Plus nowadays, nothing's a secret nowadays.
Yeah.
You want to find out anything or any technique or trick, you just go on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, you remind me of Greg. I want to shout out to Greg. Greg, I hope you're doing fine. How are you?
Yeah. Greg came on my previous podcast early on as well.
I learned a lot from him also.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he really influenced a lot of people.
I'm pretty
here.
sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, how about yourself? Do you still do a lot of like actual hands-on producing work
No.
now? Not
No,
much.
Not much. Not much.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Now-
like I said, the new batch of musics. You have to be honest. I don't get it. So I leave the kids to do the production, the
Correct.
playing, the
Uh-huh.
arrangement. So now I'm handling more on the copyright side, their publishing contracts, their synchronization. You know, I'm selling their songs to film music. So this is actually, I don't know about. We haven't talked about this, but I don't know about here in Malaysia, but in Indonesia, because of the streaming services, right? Netflix opening up office in Indonesia soon, and then Amazon Prime, Disney Hotstar, even our local streaming services. We have video.com, you know, things like that. So now I guess the trend, the short-term trend is TV series,
yes.
right?
Yep.
There are a lot of TV series being produced for those streaming platforms. So that is my business right now. So I'm trying to get my catalogs of my artists to be played, you know, in those TV series produced locally.
Yeah.
You know, so there is an exciting. I think it's pretty exciting venues because it could be a promotion platform.
Yeah.
For the new artists, but in the same time, they do have a budget for synchronization. So you know, so there is. I'm not sure if the local production have used a lot of independent music here because in Indonesia they have started to do that. Yeah.
I think definitely lah, you know,
Yeah.
and thanks to the rise of all these streaming services.
Yes.
And when you create more content, you definitely need to have a demand for music to go along with it. Yeah. So you know, I mean, not only new, but you know, the very weird and thing is that old music actually now becomes trending and topping again. You know?
Yes.
So that's also another weird thing.
And that's the power of publishing, right?
Yeah.
Because they could re-record the song into a new version with new singers like that, but the composers, the original composers and the publishing, they will still get the royalty.
Correct.
For that.
Yeah. You know, and if those systems were not in place, you know, the creators, the writers of those old songs, would not be able to,
Enjoy.
reap
Benefits.
enjoy the benefits of this, So again, that's where the importance of, the
Publishing.
copyright law, music
Copyright.
publishing and all that is.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
man.
Yeah.
That's really exciting, man.
Yeah.
But I'm going to toss this question because
All right.
I've asked this people different opinion before.
Okay.
But what about AI music?
Ooh.
What about, what about if you stretch this further,
Ooh, interesting topic. Okay.
yeah,
AI music. Okay.
Is it something that's that's a concern in Indonesia
Have you heard recently? I don't know. This is like a few weeks or a month back. There is an art competition. I forgot where, and the number one winner is actually AI. Have you heard of that? Went viral.
I have not heard that.
I came across that news.
Mhm.
That is an art competition. The number one winner is actually created by AI. So the problem I see with AI is it all depends on the listeners.
Mhm.
So I can tell you that they're getting more advanced.
Yes.
Even in music. I'm sure you have come across. I came across to a few AI
AI generated.
generated music. But if you ask me, I am as a music industry players, right? The one involved music industry. I'm not worried about AI. I am not, because in the end, we all know when it comes to big hits, right? Big hits with that can touch millions and millions of people. I don't think AI can do that. I don't think, because it's all about feel, right? It's all about the feel, and then so it goes back to the human touch. And music, of course, I'm talking about music that touch millions of people.
Yeah.
Music that touch millions of people will definitely have that human touch, that feel. Right. So I do believe that not yet when it comes to mainstream, right? So I mean, human touch is still important, but we are coming into a TikTok era, right? When people don't really care about your lyrics, they just want to grab your attention within 3 seconds.
Yeah, something that's catchy, hooky.
I'm afraid AI can do that. I'm afraid AI can do that.
Yep. Because AI, or more specifically machine learning behind it, it's just collecting data.
Yes.
And you just analyze the type of data, and then, from the successful songs, hit songs, then they analyze, what type of chord progression, what type of melody, and that's how it can generate that.
So that type of music are coming up also. I'm sure you have experienced that people are actually producing songs specifically for TikToks, right? Things like that. Of course, that type of music, because they're going to that direction, right? Grab attention, be viral, instant viral, things like that. But I still do believe in music industry. I still do believe that a good songs and good quality, good production still make a difference.
Well, let's fast forward 10 years later, then let's see what happens.
Then we'll see what happens.
Then we'll see what happens. A lot of things can change, man. And technology is it's a cool thing, but it's also can be scary as well. But you're right. For now, no, still nothing can replace, If it's like maybe for like, some background canned music or typical music, it can do it, like, But maybe it might get one day where you just enter, the keyword. So, Hujan meet ex Pop Shavit, star, and then they can generate something,
Yeah, but it will be boring. You see? It will be boring.
Because all machine learning does, again, I'm not an expert. Is they just take whatever the data points from there.
To follow a trend, yes.
Yeah.
But to create new trends.
Yep.
I don't know. I have confidence about
the machine.
human.
The machine can't do that.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. To
It's-
follow trend, yes. But to create a trend,
Mm.
I mean, like you did with Pop Shavit, what we did with Hujan, we created a trend, right?
Yeah, I got to say one thing as well. I think all of us, right,
Yeah.
in the band Pop
Yeah.
Shavit, we actually I have to credit you,
Uh-huh.
right? Because right, this is cycling back again.
Uh,
So this is the time when you are over at Excellent Studios
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and working with Ahmad Idam,
Yeah, yeah.
and obviously and then Cat also was on, and obviously
Yeah.
the movie Impact Maxima.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So obviously Cat was not only starring in it, he was
Yeah.
also he had several roles in it as well, right?
Yeah.
And am I correct that you were like in charge of the music?
Yes, yes.
The
I was
music supervisor? Yeah,
Yeah.
And we have to thank you because you were the one who actually proposed it to Ahmad Idam, right?
Yes. And I think I sit down with you guys to work and the arrangement.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are neighbors, I
Yes.
can just walk here. Hey, how's the progress? I
Yeah.
remember I sat down a lot of session with you guys
Yeah.
to create that.
Mhm.
Until it came that
Yeah.
Impact Maxima.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously there was a very clear direction, right? Of where the influence was to be
Yes.
from Initial D, the J rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we were to take that,
Yeah.
and look, thanks to
My
you
pleasure.
and you connecting us. that gave us our biggest successful hit to this day.
Wow. Yeah.
So
glad.
we are thankful for that. Well, how can I say? We're just grateful.
Yeah.
So you see, that's what I mean by Dimas has really touched
Yeah.
us in so many ways.
Yeah.
More,
Yeah.
it's touched you've touched me in so
Yeah.
many ways, right?
I'm glad.
Yeah, through what you did,
Yeah.
with Hujan,
Yeah.
the opportunities that you actually
Yeah.
gave us,
Uh-huh.
and it's awesome that you are continuing to make
Yeah.
an influence and an impact.
Because I just hope again when you go back to AI,
Mm.
do you think AI can? I don't think so. I really don't think so. In the end, it's the human touch, it's the human creativity,
Yeah.
and the reason, like I said, why I'm back in this industry, because I really hope more and more people, get in touch to that creativity inside them, right? So they can produce good music. In the end, we want to spread the good vibes with music.
That's beautifully said, man. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think I've we could go down so many areas and topics. This could be like a 2-3 hour long thing, but we're not gonna drag it on too long, lah. I mean, any closing thoughts? Maybe if someone who's up and coming, what would your best advice be? For either a musician or someone getting.
Let's fight those AI music,
Wow.
I mean, it's coming. It's coming. We all know, you know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
So the only way is to, like I said, to keep in touch. Again, sometimes we can get too technical. I'm sure you know, right? Too technical about arrangement, too technical about recording quality. But I do believe in the end, it's all about the song, right? The notation and the lyrics. Because if you want to go create a good production, you can always hire producers, you can always hire arranger. But in the end, I hope that more and more people, they really write a good music, not just a good music, but the one with good message in it. The one that's why in the end, I hope that the new generation, they want to write music not just because they want to be famous or just because they want to get a gig somewhere, they want to perform somewhere. But I really hope they write music because they really have some things to say with their music.
Yep.
And I do believe this type of genuine expression from them that can bring up a good music, and in the end bring up the good music scene, music industry from Malaysia.
Excellent, man. And also likewise Indonesia
And Indonesia
and the rest of the
and
world.
anyone who listening to
Yeah.
this anywhere.
Yep. All three of you who are listening to this.
All three of you listening.
1, 2, and 3.
So one from Malaysia, one from Indonesia, and maybe one from Brunei, maybe
another one
Singapore.
maybe.
Yeah. The three guys.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
really, really beautifully said,
Yeah.
Anything upcoming, anything you want to plug? Yeah. Anything that you want to promote?
Yeah, of course, check out my label, 12wired.com.
Yeah.
We have few artists coming up from my company. We have Voice of Bacha Prod. They've been doing quite well.
Oh, holy crap. They are amazing.
Yeah.
They're under your label?
They're my label.
Oh,
They're my artists.
really?
Yeah.
They are,
Yeah.
obviously the first, girls in the hijab,
Yes.
and playing metal on
Flying metal. Of course, some people argue with the definition of metal. They say that's not metal, that's rock. I don't, we're not talking to debate about that.
Yeah.
But Voice of Bacha Prod is another example that we groom them to actually, like I said, to send a message.
Yeah.
To write the things that matters, not just for them, but to a lot of people. So we believe that music is all about that. And because of that, they've been traveling Europe for the past 2 years. They just got back they're playing at Wacken, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an Asian from 3 girls from Indonesia playing at Wacken?
Yeah. 3 Muslim girls,
Muslim girls
rocking it out on a metal rock
and
festival.
the biggest festival in Europe, So there is something that shows. We wanted to show that this is what you could do if these 3 girls from Garut, which is a small village in Indonesia, could do it, then anyone could do it.
Yeah.
You just have to write good music.
That's awesome. I didn't know that they're under their label, man.
Yeah, they're under
whenever they have their Facebook updates, I follow their Facebook page. And they're so cool,
So
man.
I work with them behind the scene.
Yeah, see what you're doing there, and this is awesome, man. They're so freaking awesome, man. Yeah,
Good.
You can tell I'm like fanboying over these because they're so impressive,
Later on, I can spill the tips on their production of the record.
of the record, yeah. So 12 wired, is it all one word? 12.
Yes, 12 wired.
So TWELVE lah.
WIRED. Wired.
Wired,
Like
yeah.
Wire.
Mm.
Wired.
12 wired, yeah. I'll leave all this stuff in the. If people want to reach you, how do people reach you?
I'm active on Instagram. I think Instagram is the easiest. At Hang Dimas. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions regarding music, copyright or things like that. Usually people call me up for publishing problems, music publishing problems. Feel free to contact me.
All right. For consultation. First hour consultation free. After that,
Of course, coffee would be nice.
Super, man. So it's a good place to wind this conversation up. Firstly, thank you so much again for doing this, for taking the time. I know you guys were so busy with schedule. I'm sure you have other things like press and all that, and then sound checks and running up for the concert. Congratulations on 17 years.
17 years.
All right. Congratulations on everything that you have done, with regards to Indonesian music copyright law and good luck on all your future, everything that you do with the label.
You two keep doing a good job to educate Malaysian music industry.
And this has been too long, man. And let's we see each other on Facebook.
Yes,
but let's hope that this is not the last time that we get to sit down and have a conversation again.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks, man. Thanks
you.
again.
My pleasure.
All right. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye. See you again.
And we can cut. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah. bring back.